And now, the greatest of all time.
Yeah, no. Hey, this is Jesse Diaz, and thanks for hanging out with me here on Chat Point. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the channel over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, even Google Podcasts has us there now too. So go ahead and do that when you have a chance, so you always know when a new episode is out. And remember, if there's a topic you'd like us to talk about, you can respond, at least on Spotify. You can respond in the chat to the podcast and let us know if there's a topic you would like us to do. And we'll be more than happy to, talk to that topic. If the Bible says something about it, we will get into it. And you know how we do up in here. All right. So today, as you saw in the intro, we're talking about the goat or the soap. And some may be thinking, well, Jesse's lost it because what does that even mean? Well, you're going to know in a second. But the other day I had the opportunity over in church to do the communion, right? To do the talk for the communion. And I was talking about how serving is great and how the church where I go is just really all up into serving and service of the community, service of just folks, people who go there for the first time. They will notice that service is really what we're all about. And Jesus taught this. Jesus wanted his people, his disciples, to serve, to learn to serve others. It wasn't just this thing. It wasn't this thing that we invented and that we love to do because we're great people. While I do believe that, yes, there is goodness in us when we let God move through us. Yes, there's going to be goodness, but it's not just one of those things that happens naturally. It's actually one of those things we have to think about. It's one of those things that we have to actually focus on. We have to focus on service, because if we don't, we probably won't do it. If we don't focus on serving others, we probably will focus on, unfortunately, serving ourselves. In fact, Jesus talked about this. Jesus conveyed this lesson on various occasions. On quite a few occasions, Jesus talked about service, and he talked about us worrying about others as opposed to worrying about ourselves, right? And so this is kind of the segue to the whole goat or soap thing. So definitely one of my favorite moments for this is Mark chapter 9, 33 to 35. It's awesome. If you have a chance to look it up and read it on your own, go ahead and do that. I love it. I'm going to read it from the New Living Translation, which is my favorite version, but you can read it in any version. It's going to say something very similar. And here it goes. After they arrived at Capernaum and settled in a house, Jesus asked the disciples, "What were you discussing out on the road?" But they didn't answer, because they had been arguing about which one of them was the greatest. Believe it or not, that's actually there. He sat down, called the 12 disciples over to him, and said, "Whoever wants to be first must take last place and be the servant of everyone else." Let me read that verse 34 once more. But they didn't answer, because they had been arguing about which of them was the greatest. Is that not the best thing ever? They were literally having an MJ or LJ moment. And I didn't do a good job at explaining this little piece over in church when I did the talk. I think I needed to elaborate just a little bit more. But anyone who's followed the NBA for, I don't know, any amount of a reasonable amount of time will know the classic argument of who is the greatest basketball player of all time. Who is the GOAT? Is it MJ, Michael Jordan, or LJ, LeBron James? And we can have this argument all day, everywhere. And, it's just going to keep happening, and it's just going to be the eternal conversation, even though everybody should know that Michael Jordan is actually the greatest of all time. No, I'm just messing with you. Don't turn it off for my LeBron James fans. Don't turn it off. I'm just messing with y'all. But Yeah, they were having that. They were having their own little MJ or LJ moment. They were arguing about which of them, of the disciples, was the best. I mean, they're hanging out with Jesus. They are seeing how Jesus rolls. They're watching him just be serving others, right? Where Jesus was not self-serving. He was never worried about himself. He was never looking for the spotlight. If you just notice Jesus's years, those 3.5 or whatever amount of time years of ministry that Jesus had, he was not out looking for attention. He was not, I mean, just look at his conversation with Pilate. I mean, even knowing that he was the Son of God, when he was confronted by Pilate before going to the cross, he still would not just say, I am the Son of God. He would say, you said it to Pilate and stuff like that. So Jesus always was showing us, not just talking about it, but showing us the way that we should live, how humble he was, and the meekness of Jesus is something that honestly we have to pray about to be able to do, because not all of us have these natural qualities. We have to work at it. And service is one of those things you have to work at. So Jesus kind of fixed that little conversation of theirs, that little moment of theirs, with this. Whoever wants to be first must take last place and be the servant of everyone else. Jesus was trying to help them get over themselves. And sometimes he has to help us get over ourselves. If you're having a moment like that, if sometimes you feel like you're not getting enough attention, or somebody else might be getting opportunities for leadership or whatnot that you're not getting, just get over yourself. Your moment will come. It's not that it's not going to come, but don't worry about what someone else is doing. Don't worry about if someone else is getting opportunities, if someone else is getting ahead. We really sometimes have to just stop ourselves and say, God, thank you. Thank you, because I am where you want me to be, and I will be wherever you say I will be. And let it go. And that day where they were arguing about which one of them, ridiculously, it's incredible, but yeah, which one of them was the best, which one of them was the goat, Jesus kind of said, instead of worrying about the goat, y'all need to worry about being the soap. Yes, I said it, the soap. And what is the soap? The servant of all people. Isn't that amazing? Come on. It's pretty cool. It is. We can't be worried about being the greatest. We really can't. And getting back to that serving thing, being the servant of all people, there's many ways to do it. There's a lot of ways. You can go the extra mile at work. You can help your neighbor, and not just, your hypothetical or your, I don't know how to say it, your neighbor, in the world or whatever. No, your real neighbor, the neighbor that lives right next to you. You can help that person. You can literally help that person. You can give. You can give to organizations a church that's helping somebody, or you can give to organizations that help others. There's lots of them out there. I mean, here in Florida, we've got quite a few of them. We've got Jericho Ministries. There's a few here in Spring Hill where I reside. There's a few different ones, and you can help them. There's bigger ones, right? Like the one that I'm trying to remember the name of it, but there's Joyce Meyer's Ministries. They help children in different countries, and they have schools. You've also got Samaritan's Purse is another one that I like. Franklin Graham is in front of that one, and that one does a whole lot across the world to helping people who don't have the blessings that we have. So that's one way. I'm just giving you a way that you can serve, because we can't all go to those places, but we can give to those who do, and that's great. We can help them. So again, you can volunteer. That's another one. You can volunteer in church. You can volunteer in school, which, by the way, there's people out there currently, not just here where I live, but all over the place, that criticizing teachers, criticizing school systems, criticizing administrators. Why don't you volunteer for a few days? Volunteer for one day. Volunteer for a day in a classroom or in a school. you might end up singing a different tune as to what schools are doing or trying to do, or teachers are trying to do for your kids. Volunteer for a little bit, right? There's different ways to do this. There's different ways to serve. But you know what? Probably a good place to start is just taking the focus off of you. Taking the focus off of me. I've got to take the focus off of myself. Let's take the focus off of ourselves and let's consider others. Okay? I'm not some people might be thinking, well, that's supposed to be automatic if I'm a Christian. Well, it's not. It's not automatic for Christians. It's not automatic for anybody. I think most of us are automatically inclined for self-preservation and try to save ourselves. And unfortunately, that means a lot of the time that if we stay in that mode, we won't help anybody else. And that's not what Jesus was talking about. So, yes, he wants us serving. He wants you serving. He wants me serving. So let's not worry. Let's never worry about being the goat. Okay? You and I need to continue striving to be the soap. I'll say it again. The servant of all people. That's you. That's me. That's everybody who wants to follow Jesus. Let's go out there and be the soap. Be blessed. And until next time.